Good morning, you guys, and welcome to a special week for us. Welcome to Double Stuffed November. And for your very first special of the month, we are bringing you Thanksgiving Threesome, a super steamy, romantic, erotic, MMF bisexual threesome between a loving, cuckold husband, his hot wife, and her ex, by Poppy Loggins. When unexpected changes throw off Jackie and Evan's Thanksgiving plans, they scramble for a place in her hometown to stay. At the last minute, they are taken in by her ex, who turns out more than happy to have them both. Featuring a fun, charming alpha and a husband and a wife in love, this short novella makes for a super steamy Thanksgiving treat. This story includes light drinking, casual cannabis use, and lots of explicit, erotic, bisexual, MMF sex. It is intended to be read by naughty adults only. Come join this loving couple on their Thanksgiving trip and first time exploring a cuckolding wife menage. Gobble gobble. And with that, welcome to the Smutty Book Club. We hope you enjoy. I put together my August reads. It was really small. October reads, very small.
Yeah, I have 10 or less books.
I had 11.
It was not great.
Yeah, it was a long month.
Yeah, it was. I've been screamed at all day. But I am excited because I was able to order that book.
Yeah.
And it, so far, so good. It says it's arriving next week.
Ooh, there you go.
So
that's awesome.
Because Team Ava over here in the house. Just saying.
We're saying it without saying it, by just stating. We won't talk about it, but
so are you ready for this?
No, but
I'm so excited.
I'm glad you're excited. I'm gonna do a really bad job.
No, you're not. It's gonna be the best thing on the planet.
No, it's absolutely not. So, welcome to November.
Welcome to Double Stuffed November.
And in honor of Double Stuff November, welcome to our special. And it's our first one of the month.
Yay, special!
So, with it being a special, I volunteered myself, and please fucking bear with me because your girl is going to do a terrible job.
Chris is going to lead us today.
I'm going to lead this today. It might not go well. Who knows?
It's going to be epic.
I am going to be glossy as hell, probably. But guess what? Doesn't matter. Because
that's okay.
How long was this book? 116 pages. It is a Thanksgiving novella. How long did it take me to read it? 30 minutes.
Yeah, I was going to say it was a breeze. But you know what? Crystal had a very specific
I had specific requirements.
Type of book when she was looking for a double stuffed book. See, I went into the whole double stuffed concept looking for a specific MMF book. And I was like, oh, I really want just like a good hot and heavy MMF book. And Crystal was like, fuck that shit. No, I want an actual Thanksgiving book where they double stuff. She thought there was no way. She was going to find one.
And then Ariel magically found one through the magic of Goodreads.
The most obscure book. It had 6 reviews on it.
Listen, when we say
but it was
obscure,
on KU. It was on KU.
That's the thing. When we say obscure, we mean there is 22 ratings on Amazon.
On Amazon, yeah.
There are not a lot of reviews.
There was like 8 on Goodreads or something like that.
Goodreads,
yeah.
Same thing. Not a lot. But you know what?
And this book is 3 years old.
Yeah. I'm going to give you the short title for now, and then I will read you the actual gigantic full title that this book is. So the short title this week on the special for Double Stuff November, for your first one, we are reading Thanksgiving Threesome by Poppy Loggins. That is the short title. So the entire title of this, as per the cover, is Thanksgiving Threesome, a super steamy, romantic, erotic, MMF bisexual threesome between a loving cuckold husband, his hot wife, and her ex, by Poppy Loggins. And I'm going to tell you right now, she has the exact same last name as Kenny Loggins, who sings Danger Zone. And all I could think of throughout this whole thing was, Danger Zone! you know. Anyways,
Was it everything you ever dreamed of, Crystal?
honestly, I didn't know what to expect going into this, and it was great.
True. When you go into a book, seeing that it is an obscure 100-page erotic Thanksgiving novella based on two men just stuffing themselves into a woman, really, it's not going to be that deep, or is it?
The other thing too is I explained to Ariel the thing with this is it is a holiday novella. I have
Yeah.
literally no expectations ever for a
So you
holiday
can't
novella.
really go into this
I
one
don't
with
care.
legit
No, you
expectations.
can't. And that honestly, sometimes that's what we need. And our specials are not
Yeah.
usual. Well,
It's supposed to be
sometimes
fun. It's
and
supposed to be
that's
fun.
exactly. They're supposed to be fun. Sometimes we do
Mhm.
end up with more serious books or we're just doing other things, but
Mhm.
sometimes we just want to have fun, guys. And it's been
Girls just still wanna have fun.
and October was a really sucky month for both of us. So not book wise, but more personal wise, we just both had a really rough month. We also didn't
Which is
read as
making
much.
it so I'm not reading as much and it's sucking out my soul.
Exactly. And not like the soul sucking that was done in this book. First of all, my very first note before I even get into this, I just want to say I really do like the cover of this book. I'm not even gonna lie. I kind of really think it's kind of hot. It's kind of cute. I like it. It's a
Erotic.
girl up on a counter with a dude between her legs. Fantastic. So good. Loved it. So this book, Thanksgiving Threesome, is so it's about Jackie and Evan, and they're a married couple, and it starts off that they're just kind of like singing in the car, and they've been married for 2 years. They are on their way to her parents' house for Thanksgiving.
Jackie's parents' house for
Exactly.
Thanksgiving. Just gonna like sing on the way.
On their way
Kind
there,
of-
they learn that, you know, Jackie's sister is coming with her gigantic brood of children.
when
And
she wasn't originally going to come.
exactly.
Surprise! Don't you
Surprise.
just love it when relatives say that they're not coming and then all of a sudden, by the way, we're coming and we're bringing all the kids. Hope you have
Yeah.
space.
Yeah, it's wild. And it's very clear too that Evan and Jackie don't really like kids. From a lot of their
I think they're
conversations.
just a typical couple that doesn't have
Yeah.
kids. They're good with them. They just don't have
Right,
them
they're just,
themselves.
they're
so.
loud, they're messy, they're not a fan of this. So the dad had made a comment like, because Jackie and Evan were planning on staying at her parents' house, but now with all these fucking kids coming to this house, her dad made a comment like, oh, I'll just, I'll sleep on the futon. And Jackie's like, I can't let that happen. The amount of times I fucked on that futon, I cannot in good conscience let my dad sleep on there. So we're gonna look for a room to rent instead.
Yeah, her parents were gonna share the futon.
Yeah, her parents were gonna share the futon.
Her parents have her parents' room.
It's wild. I get it. There's a lot of
Company.
families that do that, especially around the holidays. They'll share out rooms and space, and so they decide they're gonna look for a room to rent. Look, Airbnb, blah blah blah. And then
last minute on the way to the day before
last
Thanksgiving.
minute, yeah. So
that's a real laugh riot.
I will say I did like Jackie's sister Jill, even though I thought she was funny. She was a riot. She kind of instigates a lot. She was something. She instigates a lot.
We haven't met her yet, but she was something.
Well, no, I'm just saying ahead of time, okay? So
she's asking all her friends in the area if they have space, and she doesn't have that many friends left in the area because she doesn't live there anymore. So she only has a few left, but like she's not getting very far and she's not getting very positive answers. And her last ditch effort was a friend that is literally not even at her house. She's, I have somebody house sitting for me. That would have been great if I had known you were coming, but no. And I'm pretty sure the house sitter is using it as a sex palace. And she's like, literally the only other person I know in that area is my ex. And he is close, like within walking distance of my parents, but he's my ex. Like, how do you feel about this?
And you know what? Evan doesn't care. So
he's a little nervous about it for half a second, but thinks that's a better choice than the futon.
But yeah, duh.
As would most.
They just kind of like show up at Grant's house. We're like, we're just gonna stay here. His house is really nice. He's got really
he's a landscaper.
Yep. He is a landscaper. So the outside of his house, really nice. It's got gorgeous ass landscaping, and it is also a very beautiful house inside. It's going to sound like I'm skipping around a lot coming up here, but you know what? This book does that because all of a sudden, sometimes we're just in her family's house, which is what happens. And
Yeah,
throughout
they
this,
have this weird dynamic because they're planned there for 3 days and they visit the night before Thanksgiving and then they visit during to
do I
like
know the
the
entire
morning of
timeline of this book?
Thanksgiving and then the
Absolutely
end
not.
of Thanksgiving and then they visit like
You
the
know
day.
what?
It's weird. They keep going back and forth. When they arrived at Grant's house, Evan looks up through the car window and is like, "You didn't tell me he was a model."
Oh my God, because this man is so fucking hot. Ugh.
And she's like, "Oh, well, he only did so much of it," and blah, blah, blah. And he's
He was
like,
an
"I
Abercrombie
didn't mean
model
it like
very
that."
briefly, but he didn't do that for very long. And
What?
then all Evan can think about is how hot this man is. And it's so
And
funny
and
to
it's
me.
clear in Grant's actions that they know each other really well. All I kept thinking, I'm going to be honest with you, all I kept thinking throughout this entire book is why did they break up in the first place?
Yeah, I think about that too, and I wasn't 100% sure. So we go to her family's
So
house,
yeah,
and
after they drop their bags, yeah, they go over
yeah.
there.
And of course, Evan's thinking, what the fuck did I get myself into with this situation?
Mm.
So Jill's like, what do you mean you're staying at Grant's? And of course, they're drinking, as they don't state it out fully, but they kind of hint that they're drunk. So they must have been drinking throughout whatever time period they have been at this house. So all fucking her sister can talk about is how hot Grant is, how big Grant's dick is, and the fact that she thinks that Jackie should just fuck him.
I was like,
And
what the fuck?
this went from 0 to fuck him in 3 seconds.
She clearly came with her husband. Like, what
Right.
kind of
Well,
sister? Like, I don't
well, her
know. It's weird.
sister thinks that her husband Evan is potentially gay. So maybe instead of just sleeping with Grant, to just invite him into the party. And Jackie's
Get a
I
chooper.
think well, she's like, I think he lives with his girlfriend and my husband isn't gay. And like the funniest thing, she goes, that man eats puss. And I was like, no, we do not say it like that. But the whole time she's just thinking, but Grant is kind of like super hot and I can't wait to get back over there.
And
And
like,
she's
I'm
feeling a
so
little,
glad that I'm seeing him again.
yeah, and she feels kind of guilty about it too, but whatever. So then they sneak back into Grant's house because, these chapters are 3 pages long. And
Not really, but it feels like it.
and they walk in and Evan is met with a shirtless Grant. Listen, if I walk into a house and a man that's super fucking hot who was a model in a landscaper bodies, oof.
She
I
even makes
would
that comment that his
He does.
body,
He says
she
that
does.
he's like, the sight of his abs makes me angry.
Oh
But
no,
like
but I meant she even makes that comment that his body has
only gotten
gotten
better.
better since,
Yeah.
yeah, like he's gotten like a lot
Yeah.
bigger and
So they're just there and they start drinking. And Evan's kind of jealous, but he's also kind of turned on a little bit and makes little comments about it.
he has a
In
lot of
his head,
insecurities though
he does. I think
about
that
the situation.
in his brain, he probably knows he swings both ways, but won't admit it out loud because that does happen with some people. But like the whole time, Grant
Well,
is kind
I
of
feel
like
like his
making,
insecurities are there because she's being a fucking asshole.
yeah,
Because some of the things that she says are really like not nice. She just makes all these like little comments about like how awesome he is and how hot he
she
like
makes a, especially like further
it
along
gets
when
worse as it goes,
well,
but
yeah, exactly. Grant is kind of instigating things a little bit. But I think that's just his personality because he kind of comes across as one of those guys, if you've ever met them, who just kind of like flirt with literally everybody, or just like their whole personality is flirting. So a lot of stuff that he's saying is super out there, and it's really making Evan feel super insecure. And he even said he's a people pleaser, anyways, but he really wanted this guy to like him, which is interesting. And then the next comment I have is that there is some super sexual innuendo with bacon.
mm.
Which was like, he's like, oh, I know Jackie likes it basically raw, but there'll be better stuff in a second if you like it more firm like me. And I'm like, bro, what is going on with this
Seriously.
fucking bacon. He also makes a comment about, I remembered how much this one likes her late night meat because
But
it's
that's what I mean.
nighttime
Like
for
he
this.
makes those comments
Yeah,
like
he'll make the
frequently,
comments
like
and Jackie kind
showing
of just
how
like,
much he knows her,
yeah,
and she just lets it go, and
and she just
it's
lets it
making,
happen.
yeah, it's making Evan feel not great, and especially as it keeps going, and then I really didn't like the comments that
Yeah.
I understand the point of it. It was that whole cuckold thing,
Yeah. Well, I think
but
the reason that Grant is okay making these comments is he kind of clocks it with Evan ahead of time. So I think he
oh
can
yeah.
read people. So that's the reason why he's making them. Jackie doesn't have an excuse. Jackie just sucks. So I did find the comment about where, Evan's like, well, if you need the kitchen, feel free to hop in. I'm a good boy. I know how to share. And I was like, this is
Yeah.
leading to some stuff. Obviously, we know exactly what happens because it's literally in the name of the title of the book, but that's besides the point. So after all this sexual right?
Surprise!
After all this sexual shit happens with the fucking bacon, Jackie jumps Evan as soon as they're behind the door and they're drunk and she's just jumping him.
That
And
being around Grant makes her horny,
I
but
know. And she's
Evan
just
benefits.
Evan does benefit a lot. And she's commenting about how she's like, oh, I'm so wet. I think the only part that grossed me out was when they just talked about how wet she was, that she was dripping on his leg as she moved. I can understand that can happen. That's fine. I didn't
I
realize that we were a waterfall here, but whatever. It's fine.
don't know. I
So,
think they necessarily meant it in that kind of context, but that's funny.
but throughout him
That's
and
fantastic.
Jackie banging, all he can think of is he wonders if Grant is bigger than him. And thinking of this, though, sends a little shock to his balls and his dick. He talks about his dick and balls all the time, about how they feel. The next morning, they wake up, and Jackie wakes up from smelling coffee. And she goes to the kitchen, makes herself at home, drinks some coffee, and then she smells some weed. They say it's just a skunk smell. Dude, it's pot. So she decides to go outside and she sees that Grant is outside just smoking away. And he invites her to smoke with him, and she agrees because Jackie is Jackie. And she's like, oh, I always loved it back here. And they just chit chat a little bit. And
Again, why are they broken up?
I don't know because this
I
sounds
really
like
want
the
to know.
perfect relationship for them. She's asking little questions and talking about, oh, is your girlfriend with her family for Thanksgiving? And he's like, no, we broke up. And of course, Jackie's like, oh, yeah, shit, there's nothing of her in this house. And she's like, what happened? And this part was fucking funny because he says that she broke up with him because she walked in on him watching gay porn.
Solid.
And I was like, okay. So instant breakup if you watch gay porn, apparently, but whatever. And she's like, are you gay?
Well, I loved his response. It was like, what do you think?
Right. Bye, pan, whatever. And so we switch over to Evan waking up and he's just like thinking and he just feels this wetness on his cock. And well, guess who it is? It's his wife waking him up
Because
with her
Grant
mouth.
made her so horny and she
That
has
she
to go
had to take
somewhere
it.
for it.
Exactly. She has to take it out somewhere. And she's also high. So he's like, oh, you
Yeah.
smell like weed. And yeah, I
Yep.
couldn't sleep. And Grant offered, and he invited you out to share. And so all of a sudden,
Share.
too, this conversation was so funny because she's like, oh, you'll share me with Grant. And the thought of him sharing her with Grant gets him really excited, but he's also really confused as to why he's excited. You can't be this stupid, dude. Come on. You think you would be this age and realize that this is something that you're in?
We
I don't
don't
know.
know how old they are.
That is actually very true. No idea. We just know that they have been married for 2 years. So then they're talking about going over to brunch at their parents. And then, if there's time, she goes, maybe I'll finish you off. And this bitch leaves him without finishing him.
Oh,
She just blue balled him so fucking hard. And then they're at brunch. And you know what? She's doing sexual shit with whipped cream in her parents' house in front of Evan. And, I'm pretty sure there's children there. Bitch, what are you doing? Don't do that. And then, of course, like her sister comes in and she goes, oh, did you fuck him yet? And she's like, no, but I really
I want
want
to.
to. Like, he's single and he's so sexy now. Like, he's thicker, he's solid, like, he keeps a little scrub. And I'm like, I do like Scruff though. She's saying, well, he said that he's by your pan and you said that you think that Evan is gay. And now all I can think about is the two of them fucking. And Jill's like, oh my God, that's hot. Is Jill the one with the kids? Because someone needs to dick
she's
down.
Got 4 kids.
I mean, I would say someone needs to dick down Jill, but clearly she has 4 crotch goblins right now.
So
probably does not need
dicking her down.
So she does not need to get dicked down anymore.
Though nobody mentioned her husband, so who knows?
Yeah, who the fuck knows?
But they only mentioned at the end that she had a husband, but he wasn't mentioned.
Right. And after this conversation, she's talking and she's watching her husband interact with these kids, and she just goes, I'm just so grateful for him, and I'm so thankful that I am his. So there's your thanks for Thanksgiving, guys. She's thankful that her cuckold husband is hers and he is playing with children. And she wants to fuck her
that are not hers.
That are not hers. So then they go back to Grant's house and they start cooking together. And Grant kind of makes
because they have to cook for
they have to prepare some
Thanksgiving
dishes and stuff to bring over for Thanksgiving, because that is the thing you do usually. Yeah. But Grant is watching Evan and he's like, are you a chef? Or like, are you just really good? She's really good with your hands. And Evan fucking blushes. This man, he wants to fuck this dude. His wife seems to be giving him attention, but maybe he just needs the attention of a dude.
Of a man.
Exactly. And Grant's just trying to have a little conversation. And he's like, if you want to go for a hike, just let me know. And I'd be very happy to take you anytime. And he is fucking flirting the shit out of this dude.
Crystal is here for it.
I was kind of here for it. Yeah, it was good. And then Jackie comes in and she's just like, are you sure it's okay for the ovens and stuff? And he goes, yeah. And then he goes, it might get a little hot in here.
Yeah, because she was at the store.
Exactly. So then we're at Jackie's parents' house again.
Then they finished cooking and then went back to her parents' house for Thanksgiving dinner. Thanksgiving dinner.
Exactly. And she's like popping her pants open because this bitch is full. And I mean, I get it. I wear sweatpants for Thanksgiving though.
Welcome to Thanksgiving.
Exactly. I want to wear whatever.
It's what leggings are made for.
Yep. And they're like sexting at the Thanksgiving table. It's not good sexting. But he's like, are you getting undressed at dinner? And she goes, I'm really horny. And
instead of like how full she is,
right?
Even though that was originally
she's just horny. And they keep talking. And he goes, oh, 2 eggplants. Someone's greedy or hungry. And she just thought, I want both, man. Like, this woman wants 2 eggplants. She wants
the dick.
Exactly. So then they end up back at Grant's house, I guess, because it just says that the sight of Evan standing next to Grant. Exactly. And there's a confusion in her husband's eyes. And
she was so horny, they had to rush home to fuck, don't you know?
Well, that's true. Okay. And then, of course, Evan's like, oh, are we ever going to meet Grant's girlfriend? And she goes, well, they're not together. And he's like, a guy like that, he must be pulling in ladies left and right. And she's like, guys and too. Men. And I think he like gets a little excited because he pauses and he's like, is he gay? And he goes, no. As he puts it, he wants what he wants. And he goes, bet he gets what he wants too. And she's like, yeah. So then I guess we're back over at the parents' house because they're washing dishes. She's having a conversation.
So I didn't like how that scene was worded. It was as they were at dinner, she was thinking back about their conversation.
Okay, yeah. So you know what? It's funny because I think I made a comment about this too in my notes, and I was like, "This is an interesting segue because it is her remembering."
I did not like it at all.
I wish that they would have put it as like a flashback or just put something in there a little bit different because it's basically showing that her and her sister were having a conversation about everything. Her sister was saying like about the stuff I said yesterday about like last night about like fucking Grant. I love Evan. Don't cheat on him. And Jackie is thinking, I kind of want to. And Jill's like, anyone who has the opportunity to get it put in by that man should. And anyone who doesn't's a fool. And it's weird that her sister is pushing her to cheat on her husband with her ex-boyfriend. It's very
That's why when
weird.
You said that you really liked her sister, I was like,
at the beginning, like her personality was a little interesting. Some of the shit she was saying.
Literally, the only personality she had was get dick, girl.
Listen, all she can think. Listen, she has 4 children. She only thinks about dick, apparently, at this point. So then, all Jack can think of is like Grant and Evan. That's all she can think about. And
the 2 eggplants.
Exactly. So then she gets drunk off of champagne, and He's like, I'll fuck you when we get back. And she's like, well, but what if Grant's home? And then he's like, then maybe we both just be quiet. He was gonna say, we'll both fuck you, but he stopped himself because he was drunk. And so they just keep talking and they're like, Grant's not home. And he's like, do you wish he was here? And this whole scene was weird
Yeah,
because
while they
the
were
whole
fucking.
entire time as they are fucking,
I hated it.
honestly, he is instigating it. He's like, do you want him to lift you up and do
I
this?
know
Do
he
you think
was,
this?
but she
Do you...
kept going, I miss the fullness. I miss how big he was. He's so much bigger than you. Like, it could have just been his question of, do you want him to fuck you too? Or,
Yeah, but he did ask her to tell him about his cock. And I understand,
sure,
don't
but
explain how big it
like,
is compared to your husband.
or don't explain how much better it is than yours. That's
That,
kind
and
of
then
just like,
exactly. And then he's asking her, like, how did he fuck
that's
you?
okay, that's fine, sure.
Then she was like, oh, yeah, he did like this and he fucked me like this.
And they were loud, drunk loud.
Oh, they were drunk loud. And she goes, you like hearing about his cock? Do you want to see it? You want to see it, don't you? And he goes, yes. So you want to see Grant's big, hard, veiny cock? And he's go, oh, yes. And she's like pushing into me. Like she's instigating because now she can see that her talking about Grant fucking her is really making him so much harder. And the fucking is just continually
Sorry,
going.
it's doing what to him?
Continually harder.
What?
Making him so much harder. Okay, I get
so much harder.
harder, baby. God, that was no.
I was
Give
just
it to
like,
me.
what?
Yeah, so they're done.
They're done.
And then
Bada bing, bada boom.
but then she sees that Grant's bedroom door is closed, and then she's like, fuck. How long has he been here? And what did he
To
hear?
use the bathroom, yeah.
Guess what? This bitch heard everything.
Find out in the morning.
Because the next morning, Evan's out in the kitchen and
making frittatas.
And Grant is out there just shirtless as always. Grant's like, oh, how was your Thanksgiving? He's like, it was good. And
how was yours? Good. But today will be better.
He's like, I think today might even better. I got leftovers, turkey frittata. I think I'll be fucking your wife. And I was like, oh,
what?
Okay. And then Evan's like, shit. And Grant's like, yeah, I heard you last night. I heard you while you were fucking your wife. And she was practically begging for it to be me. And well, you kind of both were begging for it to be me. And Evan's like, shit, no, that was just talking. He goes, yeah, but was it really? And then he starts bossing Evan around.
Take off your shirt.
I would have been like, yes, sir.
He basically was.
Honestly, at this point, and I hate this, but I probably would have said yes, daddy, at that point. If that man had asked me to say that with that much authority, listen, I'm a weak little bitch.
He's just talking about how he's gonna fuck his wife, and he goes, take off your shirt.
And then Evan's hesitating. He goes, take off your shirt. Yep. And then he goes, now your pants. And he goes, that was really easy to do. It's just, and then he calls him a good boy. And I'm like, oh my God, what is going, like this thing went from 0 to 100 pretty fucking quickly.
0 to hero, just like that.
75 to 100 because he was talking about how much he wanted Grant to fuck his wife. And Grant definitely heard this. So then I think it was really funny that they called them cut gutters instead of the many other terms that can be used for those. They're also called cum gutters because Grant was moving his hand down his abs between his tight cut gutters. It was an interesting term. They're usually called cum gutters.
I think my brain auto-corrected it because I didn't catch that.
Yeah, it was cut gutters.
But honestly, it could have been a typo. There were a lot of typos in this book, but it was a tiny little Thanksgiving novella. And I mean, I just think that it was not run through an editor.
Evan did say that Grant's cock is a porn-worthy cock. So I'm just curious what this man's dick looks like. I wish I had piercings. That would have made this a lot better. For science, guys. But so Grant decides... I
also noticed how Grant did not use a condom.
He did not, no. So...
just also for science.
Well, that's fine. So Grant does this thing where he pretty much compares his cock next to Evan's and just says, think of how easy it'll be with your wife. It's interesting, but here's the thing. is the
I think it's
humiliation
that
of
whole
it.
cuckold. Yeah.
It is. The humiliation of it turns Evan on even more.
I don't personally get that whole concept, but I know a lot of people
Oh, it's a
are into
huge
that.
thing. The humiliation is so
Yeah.
big with cuckolding because you're being humiliated because another man is fucking your wife and probably fucking them a lot better than you could. But at the same time, it turns them on so much to be
That is not
humiliated.
my style of
It's not my style
MMF.
either. I also couldn't be the person. Yeah,
I want them to share. I want them to like all
exactly.
love each other. Yeah.
Then Grant tells him that the frittata will be ready in 10 minutes. You're going to stand there and you're going to wait for the full 10 minutes. And think about
You're
what
gonna
I'm doing with your
listen,
wife and
listen,
what she's doing
listen
for
carefully.
me. Exactly. And then Grant scares the shit out of Jackie by just going into her room. And she had taken a shower, so she's in a towel. And he goes, Evan's in the kitchen. We had a really good talk. And
We had a good talk.
Jackie can see where this is going because he's like, I told him I heard you talk last
She
night.
drops her fucking towel. Fucking horny ass bitch. Thirsty bitch.
Yep. And he practically begged to walk in on a show. I don't remember the begging at all.
Listen, I'm pretty sure you told him what was going to happen, just like you told him to take off his shirt. Just saying.
Well, you know. So he starts going at her, touching her breasts and her nipples and like telling her to be louder because he really wants Evan to hear this happening. And she can hear the timer going off in the background, but she doesn't give a shit. And Grant's fucking doing his thing. And she's like, oh, you remember exactly how I like it. Which, again, as Ariel says, why did they break up? Because clearly the shit's here. And she was just yelling his name a lot. And then out of the corner of her eye, she sees that her husband's there. What is her husband doing? Staring with his pants down and his hand around his dick.
He likes it.
He
likes.
is stroking himself, and she's getting lost in the moment and screaming his name and doing all this shit. And Grant says, I need to taste you. And he's like, I know that you want my cock in your mouth. And then the scene just ends when she makes eye contact with Evan. And that was it. And then scene's over. And then she rolls over. I'm like, what is happening?
Time to go back to the parents' house.
It's just, it's so funny.
Because they got interrupted by the timer because they had to go to their parents' house to go watch a movie because apparently that's what you do. They had a special movie date planned to watch a movie at their parents' house.
It was just weird. And chapter 15 also just kind of starts weird because it starts and then it kind of goes back to the scene. Like it's weird because it's
because they're at the movie at the parents' house, but they're all still horned up. So she's texting with Grant and basically saying that she wants to fuck him and that they want to finish what they started, kind of thing. And he's like, what about your cute little husband? And Evan reaches over and grabs the phone and types out, well, you can fuck him too.
Dude, that blew my mind.
So then they got out of that movie fast and ran the fuck home to reconvene. That's why it kind of just dove back in. Still, I mean, 100 pages. It was weird.
It was interesting. So then they go back and
so it's time to play.
Grant's outside. So Jackie's like, well, he's outside smoking. Do you want to go join him? So Evan goes out and joins him. And he's just out there. And
they both do.
Again, they're egging Evan on with this whole thing. Like, she can't keep my hands off my cock.
She starts going down on Grant.
And then Grant's like, have you ever touched another man, Evan? And he's like, no. But then he goes, not yet. And I'm like, Evan, get it, boy. And then they kiss. Grant and Evan kiss.
While he's getting his dick sucked by the other man's wife. Then they encourage Evan to get on his knees.
Yeah, so Evan and Jackie start sucking Grant off together. And then it gets to the point where Evan kind of realizes that Jackie is no longer down there with him. And he's just like going at it and having a grand old fucking time.
Having a good time. Having a good time.
Literally. And then Jackie goes, fuck me, to Grant. And then you know what happens is Evan puts Grant's dick into Jackie.
Takes Grant's dick out of his own mouth, twists it up because
shoves it in his
she's
leg.
sitting on his lap and shoves it in.
And then, you know, Jackie's just screaming Grant's name this whole time. And like, she's just like, I love taking your cock. And they're just fucking.
And the things she's saying,
she says so much because
she's just so insensitive to her own husband.
But I think, again,
it's the cuckold thing.
Yeah,
I know, but
it's just, yes, it was a lot. But then when she was done, she's just like, I need this man to fuck me again and again and again. And then again, why did they break up? Who the fuck knows? And then the three of them fuck again.
Hold on. Before they all pass out. So he's still raring and ready to go. She gets off, but Grant hasn't yet. Evan is just in awe of this whole thing. So Grant, like, oh, you like that, huh? And he's got her juices all over him and he's all slicked up. And he pushes him down onto the blanket on the grass and spins him around on all fours and
fucks this man in the ass.
Well, he only gets just the tip, just a little bit, because that's all Evan can handle before he explodes all over himself and they all just exhaust. Yeah. So then they fall asleep in the grass there.
And the next morning they wake up and fucking Grant just goes, good morning, want to get fucked? And she instantly became wet the second that was said. So then they all three fuck again the next day.
This is where we get our double stuffed action. It wasn't exactly my version of lovingly double stuffed. However, she gets spit roasted by these men.
She does. So if you like a good spit roasting, this was for you. Yes, my double stuffed is something a little different that I enjoy, but you know what? That's okay. Here we are.
Solid.
This still technically counts. So then she tells her sister, and she's just, you know, Jackie hugs her mom and she's like, don't worry, we'll be back for Christmas. And Jill's like, we're coming too, but are you guys staying with mom and dad this time? She goes, oh no, we're just going to stay with the same friend. Jackie says, bitch, text me. The details are even better than you think. And then guess what? That's the book.
Well, before that, sorry. As they're having the end of their good time, Grant is saying that he doesn't want this to end and that he doesn't want to lose her again and he doesn't want this whole situation to end and that they need to have a serious discussion on how to extend this out. And then literally that's the end of the chapter. And like you said, then she's just like in the car on the way back, like texting her sister.
And that's the end of the book.
And that's literally how the whole thing ends. Like we have no information. We don't know how anything happens. We still don't even know why they broke up.
Can we get a Christmas version of this book? Listen, I know you wrote the Thanksgiving. Can we get them at Christmas and get like the same shit again? And just maybe
there's a lot of these weird little obscure books by this author.
No, I'm specifically with these people. I want to see what their Christmas is like.
Books.
I understand that. But Poppy
I'm wondering, I don't know, maybe.
Because if this is, I want to see what their Christmas is like and see if we get more of their story and more of their relationship. I'll look it up later.
But that was the book. She doesn't actually want to know. She just wants to pose the question now.
It would take a little more research than I feel like researching right now. Honestly, this was like such a short book. It was so easy. Like I said, it took me 30 fucking minutes to read it. Honestly, we read a lot of really long form books. We read a lot of serious books. And honestly,
the holidays coming up, a short special is probably just what the doctor ordered.
Exactly. So yeah.
My special pick is not going to be as short. Sorry, not sorry.
So that was interesting. So Ariel, do you want to rate it? Do you want me to tell you the ratings?
Who is your favorite character?
Oh, just kidding. Grant can tell me what to do.
I'm going to say Evan
this book was not like a big character thing, but
no. But I'm going to say Evan because he just rolled with shit and discovered stuff and just kind of allowed things to happen. And he really he was a good doobie. He played with all the kids.
He was a good doobie who smoked a good doobie.
Solid. Who's your least favorite character?
Jackie.
Same. I hated Jackie.
Like the thing is if you don't know that your husband is a cuckold, probably don't put him in the situation that would make that happen.
If you need your sister to say something to you.
Yeah, I understand. This book is not that deep. This is
we should also state that this book is written in the third point of view.
Oh, yes, it is written in third person POV. It was fine for me. I didn't care.
Yes,
I had a good time.
third point of view. Third person point of view is written in the third person point of view.
Yeah.
Because words are
It's okay. Words are
for
difficult.
winners. Words are for winners.
So
anyways, yes. What did Amazon rate this book?
So Amazon rates is a 3.9 and Goodreads is a 3.75.
Would you give it?
I gave it a solid 3. I tried to look at your rating earlier and it wasn't there, so I was sad.
Oh,
I
I gave it a solid 3 also.
Look at that. Honestly, for it being as short of a book as it was fine, that's the thing is like it's
it
hard.
was what it was. It was a short novella that didn't have a lot of substance. There was a lot of editing issues, not a lot of plot.
This was not a book for plot, so I don't.
It was written.
That was
right.
Not even
it
in
was
my
written
thought.
in the third person point. But I meant that. I'm just saying.
I know.
As a book in general, it was written in the third person point of view. It was what it was, and for what it was fine. So
I never have huge expectations going into any sort of holiday novella. And honestly, this was
blow my mind and exceed expectations. No, but it was fine. It was good.
What was your
interesting?
Yeah, right. What was your cucumber rating?
I did not even think about that. I'm not even gonna lie. I didn't even put that into thought process.
I'm just gonna tell you guys that 90% of this book is them fucking. So take that as it is.
The page to smut ratio was definitely higher, though the third person point of view definitely takes it down for me. But they also didn't do anything that weird.
Except for using her cum to go in his ass. But sure, that was nice.
But that was kind of cool.
That was kind of cool.
But they didn't.
What did you want them to do? Utilize a turkey in this?
But they didn't even put it all the way in. Oh, a baster would have been neat. Be creative. It's Thanksgiving.
They could have turned her into a table and eaten off of her with Thanksgiving food.
Right?
They do it with sushi all the time. I'm
going to give this a 4 simply for lack of creativity. Simply for lack of creativity.
I'm gonna go with a 5 or a 6.
For Thanksgiving.
I wish that there was
Thanksgiving creativity. You dropped the ball. This was hard enough to find.
All we want is turkey basters used with gravy, just
maybe spanked with a ladle or something.
Ooh, and then mashed potatoes on the titties, some cranberry sauce.
Mixed off.
Yeah, some stuffing.
Gravy. You can utilize gravy very well. The temperature control, that hot gravy.
Oh, yeah. And then the cranberry sauce is cold, so that goes.
Come on, people. I don't know if any of this
Are we going to hell? People eat food off of people all the time, and you could utilize that shit really nicely. It's very sticky, so you would need a shower.
To her vagina as pie.
That's a little disappointing.
Yes.
It is
especially since this was a Thanksgiving book.
I would have been like,
in a normal book, I would have been disgusted.
Her cherry pie was so delicious.
But this was a Thanksgiving book. Man, that pumpkin pie.
Her pecan pie.
I put that whipped cream right on that pumpkin pie. I put it right on.
Listen, it's a good pie. I put the nuts in that pecan pie all the time.
We're going to have to write a Thanksgiving book, aren't we?
I was thinking about that. Honestly, I think that if we ever do a foray into writing books, we should just write like short novella holiday books
holiday
for shits
novellas.
and giggles.
Short holiday novellas just for
I'm
fun
here
like
for
this.
it. I'm here for it. I'm gonna be honest. I like this book. Like it was a good escape. I think is what it was. Is it's not like I wasn't gonna take it too seriously because this isn't something I needed to mentally prep myself for.
Right.
Everything you need to know is in the fucking title. Like it's all there. That's all you got to know. Disappointed with the lack of Thanksgiving things. Other than that,
it could have been done over any holiday or any vacation. What was different about Thanksgiving?
Yeah, but it's okay. I enjoyed it, and there's your first double stuff of the month. The next one is going to be Ariel's pick, and it's going to be a lot deeper than this one. Probably about as deep as Brant went into her.
Much deeper.
I bet you it's much deeper than Evan can go into his wife with his tiny penis, apparently.
2 dicks deep. So I hope you enjoyed this special episode featuring Thanksgiving Threesome for our double stuffed November special.
Yay! Thank you for joining us for our super special.
Yes.
There's no wheel.
Keep reading.
So if you wanted a wheel, you need to check out our Friday episode so you can hear it then.
See you next Friday, not Tuesday. Friday. Make sure to check out Sick Boys.
For more double stuffing. Extra double stuffing. It's like
extra double stuffing. It was a triple stuffing because Sick Boys is a MFMM, and we did not have that on purpose. The wheel just again picks what it wants, and it just
And
so happened
honestly,
to.
I think we didn't realize that going into it, and then we're like, oh, shit.
And then we were like, ooh, magic everywhere. So yeah, join us Friday for Sick Boys because it's a roller coaster.
And don't be a shitty human. That's just my advice to the world.
It's pretty hard these days.
Be really nice.
Don't be shitty.
We will read your book if you're really nice.
Please don't
And-
make us take your book off our wheel.
Yeah. We've
And
only had to do it
please
once
don't make
before.
us rearrange our specials because you bully authors away from being able to have our books for our specials that we have planned, because that fucking sucks ass. It affects other people.
Yeah, because sometimes we really like Christmas and we love Christmas books. So don't be garbage. Please read along with us.
Don't be a sick boy. Just read Sick Boys. Regardless of who you are reading, just make sure that you keep reading.
And keep it smutty.
Time's been moving slowly, so we already in too deep. Can't get no sleep on each other, heavy teasing all day, and when the sun sets, you act